Hi, welcome to Forbes Newsroom. I'm Diane Brady, and I'm with Emmy Lucas, assistant editor here at Forbes, who was also one half of the creators list that we just put out. Emmy, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And tell me about some of the creators you actually reported on.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, we started with, ideas of hundreds of creators and whittling it down to 50 is definitely tough, but talked to a lot of fashion Instagrammers, TikTokers, things like that.
So let's talk about the fashion Instagrammers, because that seems like one of the early movers in this space. These are people who basically got their fame through social media.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, Kardashian family, you got your start elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that surprised you about the fashion influencers? These aren't supermodels.
Right.
How do most of them get their start?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think I've seen, the term OG influencer a lot out there right now. And so
what's OG?
The original influencer,
Okay.
or the original bloggers. And so they really were on the front lines and the first to monetize content creation. And so they're starting with, WordPress blogs back in the day, and just have stood the test of time, really, creating their own brands and things like that now, and just kind of standing that test of time.
Well, and one of the things we measured was engagement. So is that an area that you think, like, these are people that also interact with their fans? They're not just like, here's my outfit and here's where you can buy it.
Right.
It's more of a conversation?
Yeah, for sure. It's sharing, mom hacks, things like that. Danny Austin comes to mind. She calls her followers her girls.
Danny Austin?
Yes.
Okay, so what is her, is she known for fashion style, or
yeah,
what's her thing?
fashion and kind of mommy blogging, Christianity. She's from Texas.
Okay.
Like yeah.
Okay.
Beauty and fashion.
And anybody that you met that was sort of I'm not going to say they're all highlights, but who were some of the people you found really interesting in terms of just how they think about business?
For sure. Yeah, I think, social media can definitely be a highlight reel, and the ones who are, making money aren't the ones just showing that highlight reel, and they're creating their own businesses and things like that. Ami Song comes to mind. She is very much open about her mental health journey.
So
and things like
Ami San is her name, and what's her what is that the name of? Does she have like is she big on TikTok, Instagram?
She is another fashion Instagram. She started with her blog Song of Style, and is primarily on Instagram now.
And what's her why would people go to her? Why is she so popular?
Yeah, definitely for her gorgeous fashion and her line, but also for the mom hacks now. She recently had a baby, and also just her authenticity. I think that is just a huge factor and thing consumers are looking for now, is that authenticity and just having a conversation with your followers on, those hard mental health days or things like that.
So she's known for mental health. She also, in terms of fashion, she has her own fashion line.
With Revolve.
Is that something that you were seeing a lot of the fashion creators do? Is that because essentially endorsements are something we've had for a long time?
Right.
Please wear my outfit. Mention it on the red carpet. So what credentials do they bring to this? Is it their following, or do they actually tend to have a fashion background?
Yeah, I think many of them do have a fashion background. Ami Song has a background in interior design, studying in San Francisco, and so a lot of them do bring that when they work with their brands to create, whether it's their own clothing line or even just their own company themselves. They have really been starting their companies based off just causes they care about, what their backgrounds are, and things like that. And that's why you see a lot of, beauty industries, beauty companies popping up too.
So I'm going to go after you for your demo, right? Your generational perspective, which is, I think that how we consume media is different, and just not to make you the entire voice, of Gen Z, or I guess you're like later Gen Z, right? So like just on the cusp.
That's me.
What does it say? I mean, when you look at celebrity culture and you look at the whole role of creators, how important are they in your life? And when you look at how you and your friends consume content, give us some insights as to how you think it may even be different than how millennials have consumed content.
Yeah, for sure. I think you know, a lot of times now, instead of, you know, just talking with my friends, they'll reference an article. But now it's, oh, I saw this one TikToker talk about this in the news or this new trend coming up. And so, you know, one, of course, news and social media is a thing, but also just it's, you know, cultural trends. They're the movers and shakers in this. And I think, you know,
and that's the home where you get it. Because that's the other thing. A lot of it's about the future of retail. And so when you're buying an outfit, you're just as likely to buy it on the Instagram account of the influencer as you are to then be linked off to some retail site, right?
Yeah. The earned media values and just kind of sales revenue that these creators are able to generate for brands is astonishing.
Is there any any insight that you would tell people who don't follow creators as to why this matters, and on an overall basis why it's important to pay attention to this class of people that, you know, number 2 does a lot of dances on TikTok, gets a lot of, you know, influence, but why does it matter?
Yeah. I think there's that stigma that, you know, trends come and go, which they do, but, you know, the creator economy is here to stay. And so I think that's just the importance behind it, is that they are the movers and shakers behind, you know, what's important, what's trending, and all of that.
And it's real money, right?
Yeah.
They're not did you talk to anybody where the speed with which they became famous, it must be disorienting. And so let's just start with that. Do they all aspire to remain on social media, or is it really a platform that many of them want to get off as soon as possible into other realms?
Sure. Yeah. Michaela Nogueira comes to mind. She is a makeup influencer primarily on TikTok. And so TikTok is just a platform where you can go viral much easier than other platforms just because of those algorithms and things like that. But she became TikTok famous during the pandemic. She had been laid off from her job at Ulta and just started, you know, making her own makeup videos even more so on TikTok. And just, you know, she has said herself, like, how surprising it is that this is now her full-time job. Or you see other creators quitting their full-time job to take content creation full-time. And so that's been a trend now, just that full-time content creator.
Let me ask something else, Emmy, because there's this, not movement, but there's an understanding that social media, especially for women, can be very negative. You know, this sort of echo chamber, this sort of loop where it makes you see perfect lives, it makes you feel bad about your own life. And so there's this sense of almost opting out to some extent. Does that, you mentioned one of them who really has mental health at the center of her brand, is that going to impact how they engage or how the audience is engaging with them, as we've kind of have mixed feelings about social media itself?
Yeah, it can definitely be hard to be vulnerable, and, you know, it takes, you know, Ami Song said it took years to kind of open up to her audience, but once she did, just the returns on that were just immense. You know, you grow your community even more. She had the highest engagement rate on TikTok at almost 50%, and so it's just more of a conversation that way. And I think the successful creators are creating conversations and being authentic. And so it's tough to do at first, but if you've built an audience and a brand, that's definitely what works.
Everybody with an Instagram account, a TikTok account, kind of a brand. We may not all be successful brands,
yes,
but does it make you think about your own brand or give any advice to people about building their own brands? We can't all be, you know, millions of followers, but what advice did you glean for yourself or others around how to engage?
Yeah, I think it's definitely that being authentic piece. You know, Instagram was and still kind of is a place where it's a curated feed. You want the pretty travel photos, but I think the ones that resonate most are just, you know, sharing what your day is like or hopping on your stories and talking. And so
here's what I really look like when,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And so I think personally I'm like, I don't need to put a filter on this photo anymore and things like that. And so that's kind of the way I think about it.
Great. Emmy Lucas, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Diane.